me again. Well, I was thinking it was Burns night last week, so I decided to come down here today with a friend, down to Burns country. I'm here in Alloway, you can see the Burns monument behind me, and here's the old kirk. So we decided to come down here, because I'm a bit of a fan of Burns. I quite enjoy some of his poetry, and I like particularly the parts where he gets a grasp on some insightful part of human nature. And there's one particular part that stands out to me from Tam O'Shanter, where he writes, "But pleasures are like poppies spread. You seize the flower, the bloom is shed, or like the snow falls in the river, a moment white then melts forever, or like the Borealis race, the northern lights, that flit ere you point their place, or the rainbow's lovely form, evanshing amid the storm." One of the reasons I like that quote, because it's very biblical, and what it's saying is very along the same lines as what King Solomon says in the book of Ecclesiastes. In the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon writes, "Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit has a man from all his labour in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away, and another comes, but the earth abides forever." And he goes on to say, "I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind." And I'm sure we all know that reality. King Solomon was saying here, you know, he in Ecclesiastes he explains how King Solomon, how he has thrown himself into pleasure and work, into wisdom and studying and learning, and he's tried all different avenues of life to try and find some fulfilment, and all of them have left him empty. Rather than finding satisfaction, he was left empty. But that was never the way the world was meant to be. The Bible tells us that when God created the world it was good, but man disobeyed, man went in his own way, and as a result the world was corrupted and fell into sin. Just as Solomon says himself, he says, "Truly, this only I have found, God made man upright, but they have all sought after many schemes." And that is the reality of the fact we've all disobeyed God. The Bible says that we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We've disobeyed him, we've broken his law, we've lied, we've done all sorts of things. We've not given him his due place in our life. And Jesus says, "But I say to you that every idle word a man may speak, he will give account for on the day of judgment." And that's the reality of the fact. There's a day coming when we will all stand before God and face the judgment that we deserve. So are we all just stuck in the lurch then? Are we all just, to quote another great Scot, are we all doomed? Well, Burns, in one of his prayers, he says this. He refers to God as, "O thou unknown almighty cause. O thou unknown almighty cause." Well, the reality is, the Bible tells us, Burns was wrong here. We can know God. God has made a way that we can escape the consequences of our sin. We can be reconciled with him. And it's through his Son, Jesus Christ. God was manifest in the flesh. God the Son became a man, lived a perfect life, and died in our place, taking the punishment that we deserve for our sin. And he died and rose again on the third day. And the Bible says in John chapter 3, verse 16, "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So, I'd like to just leave that message with you, and I'll leave you with this quote from Burns. He says, "Adieu, dear amiable youth, your heart can never be wanting. May prudence, fortitude and truth erect your brow undaunted. And the ploughman's phrase, God send you speed, still daily to grow wiser. And may you better heed the counsel than ever did your adviser." Thank you.
The man in life where'er placed hath happiness in store, who walks not in the wicked's way, nor learns their guilty law, nor from the seat of scornful pride casts forth his eyes abroad, but with humility and awe still walks before his God. That man shall flourish like the trees which by the streamlets grow, the fruitful top is spread on high, and firm the root below. But he whose blossom buds in guilt shall to the ground be cast, and like the rootless stubble tossed before the sweeping blast. For why that God, the good adore, hath given them peace and rest, but hath decreed that wicked men shall ne'er be truly blessed.